Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. The true name of Luffy's devil fruit refers to a being known as the sun god Nika. Now this is a deity where we don't know much about their origin or their purposes, but I think we can safely speculate that they do have a deep connection with the sun, and not just in a symbolic way. In his fight against Kaido, we saw that Luffy faced the former Yonko on equal footing through his Gear 5th transformation. However, the environment was cloudy and dark, and if this fruit really has a connection with the sun, it could mean that Luffy wasn't actually fighting at his full strength. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the possibility that Gear 5th could be even more powerful if it's used during the day. And we're also going to talk about how powerful Luffy might be if he's strengthened by the sun's rays. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, and even subscribe, and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it continues to motivate us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, in a vast world like One Piece, where extraordinary adventures and impressive powers are constant, there are very few transformations that are as emblematic and possibly important as Luffy's Gear 5th. With his rubbery body capable of stretching and contracting and assuming unimaginable shapes thanks to that Gomu Gomu no Mi power, Luffy's already unleashed exceptional abilities through his various gear forms, as well as his inventiveness using the devil fruit. However, there could be some unimaginable and extraordinary new heights that Luffy could unlock if he were to unleash Gear 5th during the day, because the sun would be present as his ally. And the first thing to consider is the very nature of Gear 5th, which is an awakened form of the Gomu Gomu no Mi, and it elevates Luffy's rubber body to a whole new level of power. Just imagine for a moment that power being intensified by sunlight. The sun, the life force and energy of any planet, could act as a catalyst to amplify Gear 5th's abilities. And the sun's rays could even potentially increase the elasticity, flexibility, or even the endurance that Luffy's rubber body has, allowing him to perform even more extraordinary feats. The appearance of Gear 5th could even be completely changed in the sunlight. For instance, Luffy's eyes with that ring-shaped red pupil could end up glow even more brightly in the sunlight, emanating a mystical warmth and aura that would transcend the limits of imagination. The white clouds that swirl around his neck, which is characteristic of Gear 5th and other awakenings that we've seen, could turn into a shimmering maelstrom as they caught sunlight, and his transformation would be complemented by the form's mythological nature, making him a true freedom fighter whose deeds would inspire legends. So now Luffy, who may actually be comparable to figures like Kaido, would enter a new height of power under the sun's influence, where his increased strength and speed would be enhanced, allowing him to match and even surpass the power of the most formidable foes. Imagine Luffy unleashing his springy moves at breakneck speed under the sun's rays, and leaving a trail of sparks as he executes gravity-defying attacks. The exceptional properties of Luffy's awakened Zoan form would be enhanced with its cartoonish increased freedom and flexibility, and his ability to shape the environment to his will would expand, allowing for even more dramatic transformations of the setting and use of his environment. Luffy might gain the ability to stretch and manipulate the environment around him to create makeshift weapons or impenetrable defenses, or even springy platforms for impressive aerial maneuvers. See, with the sun as his source of power, Luffy might even be able to incorporate solar energy into his attacks. Just imagine him channeling the sun's energy into his techniques, creating blasts of solar fire that could consume his foes. And his rubbery body, which is already able to stretch and shape, could absorb and then release that solar energy in many more surprising ways. But just like any exceptional power, Gear 5th under solar influence would not be without its challenges. The intensity of this empowered form might even consume much more energy than Gear 5th as we know it right now, and it may show in even greater visible exhaustion to Luffy after he uses it. Think about how we've seen him momentarily age after he's used Gear 5th already, but what we would see in this case would be a much greater extent, and that would really demonstrate how much effort Luffy was putting in trying to use the power. Furthermore, the inherent risk of this awakened transformation, as well as the fact that it's derived from the nature of a sun god named Nika, would be an entirely new threat. I mean, Luffy's mind could be threatened by the nature of the power's origin or the deity, and require discipline and much more self-control to use. So contemplating Luffy's power when utilizing Gear 5th under the sun is to explore the untapped potential of this character as well as the world of One Piece. In fact, under the sunlight, Luffy would soar to unimaginable heights of power, power, as well as flexibility, and he could create a magical spectacle of strength and agility that would echo throughout the Grand Line. In this unique fusion of skills and energy, Luffy would become a true force of nature, a walking manifestation of freedom and the human spirit, and his fluid movements would be like a mesmerizing dance in the sun, defying logic and physics as he overcomes obstacles and challenges more formidable enemies. The relationship between Luffy and the sun as a power-amplifying ally could also be explored in deeper ways in the One Piece story. Now, the connection between the natural elements and characters' abilities has already been a recurring theme in this series, but incorporating the sun into this unique transformation would add a whole new level of symbolism as well as meaning. After all, the sun is a universal symbol of energy, life, and renewal, and it would unite with Luffy's fearless spirit and further underscore his journey of growth and overcoming any obstacle. And aside from the battle aspect, this symbiosis between Luffy and the sun could extend to plot development. The concept of incorporating the power of the sun into Luffy's Gear 5th not only adds a spectacular element to the character's fight and evolution, but it also highlights the complexity and depth of One Piece's world. So as Luffy's journey continues to unfold in the pages of One Piece, we can only speculate on what the future holds for his abilities and his development. However, one thing is absolutely certain. Potential for Gear 5th in the sunlight represents a very exciting prospect full of possibilities for the elastic protagonist, as well as mysteries surrounding his abilities and even the backstory of his devil fruit. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to see Luffy launching attacks where he could have solar energy coming out of his fist, where he has explosive punches and solar flares on impact, or some kind of way that he stretches his body into a spiral, accumulating solar energy and then rapidly spinning to release a blast of heat or dazzling light when he finally lets go of that twisted form. And furthermore, he could even start really affecting the environment in more dramatic ways, where as he stretched and manipulated the world around him, the solar energy would be radiated and influence the weather, creating zones of intense heat that might hinder enemies or even provide a tactical advantage to Luffy or his crew. But just like all extraordinary powers, this kind of Gear 5th enhanced form would still have its drawbacks and limitations, because excessive utilization of solar energy might exhaust Luffy more quickly, or the sun's energy might become a really challenging thing for him to control. And also, sunlight isn't available all the time. I mean, during night or if he was fighting indoors, he might not be able to fully enjoy all of the same powers. But then again, this limitation itself could also be an opportunity for Luffy to grow, where he could be inspired to perfect his control over this form and develop techniques that store and conserve solar energy for later use. So as we continue to follow the adventures of Luffy and his crewmates, it's exciting to speculate on the twists and turns that still lie ahead. After all, we're in a world filled with exotic islands, more formidable enemies, and unfathomable mysteries, and any possibility is justifiable in this limitless world of One Piece. All that's left for us to do now is to wait to see how Luffy will use this newest unknown power and surprise us in different ways, because his creativity and freedom have always allowed Luffy to do incredible things, feats that are both impossible and surprising, making this character even more beloved by us fans. So with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. What do you think about our speculation here, and what do you think might happen when Luffy uses Gear 5th in the sunlight? Do you think, like we, that he'll get some new upgrades and he'll be able to absorb that sunlight? Because he is the sun god after all. Or is his power more symbolic, that he's bringing light to the darkest areas of the world? And if that's not the case, what do you think Gear 5th still has in store for us? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.